Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever found yourself in that quiet, unsettling moment, maybe just a regular Tuesday morning, where you look at your life and feel like a stranger?
Mm-hmm.
Everything looks the same on the outside. The job, the routine, maybe even the people. But the internal spark is gone. The direction you thought was clear suddenly feels hazy, and deep down, you're unsure of everything.
That feeling doesn't always announce itself dramatically, does it? The material we've been exploring describes it slipping in silently, like fog.
Yeah.
You just go through the motions, and then one day you pause and realize you're disconnected, lost not geographically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally. It's a profound sense of drifting.
And the immediate gut reaction for so many is shame. You look around at what seems like everyone else having it all figured out, and you feel like you must have taken a wrong turn, that you're somehow flawed.
Right.
But this source material offers such a powerful counter-narrative right from the start. It says clearly, feeling lost is not a flaw. It's not a failure. It's a phase, a deeply human experience almost everyone encounters at some point. It's this quiet truth that we rarely voice out loud.
It's a powerful paradox, the reading highlights. We're conditioned from a young age to strive, to set goals, to know exactly what we want and pursue it relentlessly. Yet there's almost zero guidance on what to do when you don't know. No one teaches us how to sit with uncertainty, how to navigate confusion, how to find our footing again when the path disappears.
Exactly.
When it happens, instead of seeing it as normal, we panic. We think we're broken because we don't have all the answers anymore.
But here's where the perspective shifts, and honestly, it gets really interesting. What if this challenging chapter, this feeling of being lost, isn't an ending? What if it's actually the most important turning point you could experience?
That's the core idea driving this deep dive into the material. We're going to explore this universally felt but rarely spoken silent struggle. The pressure of expectations, the illusions we chase, the confusion about who we are, and that deep human need to feel grounded.
Right.
Our mission is to understand why this happens, guided by the insights from this source, and see how being lost might just be the necessary first step towards finding something truer.
So if you're listening right now and you resonate with that feeling of drifting, please know you are absolutely not alone in your questions. You are not weak for not having it all sorted out. You are simply human, navigating a complex part of life.
Yeah.
This isn't about quick fixes. It's about delving into the real reflections these sources offer, exploring how feeling lost is often the catalyst for finding yourself.
Sometimes it's only when the map you were following vanishes that you start to discover the path that was uniquely meant for you. This phase is the beginning of something new, potentially something powerful. Let's really dive into the material.
One of the first things the source really digs into is what it calls this silent epidemic of feeling lost.
Yeah.
It's not a visible illness. It's a quiet, internal struggle, often meticulously hidden behind external markers of success, the smile in photos, the demanding job, the packed schedule, and yes, the filtered perfection of social media feeds.
That's right. The material points to the increasing prevalence of this feeling. It suggests that behind countless eyes, there's this deep, recurring question whispering, is this really what my life is supposed to be? And the silence around it persists because admitting you feel disconnected or purposeless feels like a confession of failure in a world that constantly broadcasts certainty and achievement.
It's the strange paradox of our hyper-connected modern world. We have more access to information and people than ever, yet so many report feeling profoundly isolated. And the source highlights how social media exacerbates this with what it terms highlight reels. You scroll past curated glimpses of other successes, their perceived clarity, their milestones, And it's almost impossible not to compare your own messy, uncertain reality to their stage performance.
Yeah, you start to measure your backstage struggle against their polished front, which inevitably leads to the thought that something is fundamentally wrong with you.
Exactly.
This comparison trap is potent because it feeds into another pervasive societal myth the source dissects, the straight line life.
Ah, yes.
It's the narrative hammered into us from childhood. Grow up, pick a career early, climb that ladder, find a partner, buy a house, have kids, save money, retire. It's presented as a neat, linear progression where everything just falls into place if you follow the steps.
But real life, as anyone living it knows, is rarely that clean. It's messy, unpredictable, full of detours and unexpected endings. Yet our culture heavily values certainty and speed, celebrating those who seem to have it all figured out from the get-go, who move fast and speak with absolute confidence.
This is precisely why feeling lost gets mislabeled as failure. The source offers a powerful reframe. It's not failure, but a signal.
A signal. How so?
It's your inner compass telling you that the path you're on, or the one you thought you should be on, no longer aligns with who you are becoming. Maybe the definition of success you were chasing wasn't yours to begin with. It was inherited.
That makes sense. It's deeply connected to awakening, isn't it? The material suggests many people live what it calls a sleep, simply following the script, ticking boxes without ever truly asking if it feels right, if it aligns with their soul.
They might never feel lost because they never question the path itself. But the very fact that you feel uncertain, stuck, maybe even in pain, is a sign you're awake. You're paying attention to that inner whisper.
And confusion, while uncomfortable, isn't something to avoid. The source argues it's a necessary part of the process. You can't build something true and authentic without first questioning and potentially dismantling what's false or no longer serves you.
Right. You can't find a new fitting direction if you cling desperately to the old one that's clearly not working.
There's a real power, the source emphasizes, in the simple act of honesty. Saying it out loud, even just to yourself, I don't know what I'm doing right now. I feel lost. When you stop pretending, stop running from that truth, you create the space to actually understand it.
In that moment of vulnerability, you begin to see clearly.
So feeling lost isn't a sign of weakness. It's an invitation. An invitation to slow down, to turn inward, to recalibrate.
As the material beautifully summarizes this initial idea, you're not broken. You are simply in the profound, sometimes challenging process of becoming.
And that idea of becoming ties directly to another major theme the source explores: societal timelines and what it calls the myth of being behind.
Oh, yeah. That one hits hard.
It points out how from very early on, society assigns us invisible timelines mapped out with milestones. Hit this by this age, achieve that by that age.
The pressure is subtle but constant, isn't it? It comes up in conversations with relatives asking about your career or relationship status, in job applications with age ranges, and relentlessly on social feeds announcing everyone else's latest milestone. The implicit message is, you should be somewhere else by now. But the source challenges this. Who decides somewhere else? Who put this arbitrary clock in place that we're all supposedly racing against?
And what's striking is how few people pause to question it. They follow the prescribed structure because it feels safe, familiar. But as the source notes, often even those who dutifully tick every box on time can arrive at their destination feeling hollow inside.
Exactly. They're on time according to society, but deeply unfulfilled according to their own soul.
The feeling of being lost, then, isn't often because you've fundamentally done something wrong, but because you've internalized the idea that there's only one correct way to live, one correct speed, and you're not matching it.
But what if your path is meant to be different, slower? What if your specific growth, your healing, your self-discovery requires a timeline that doesn't fit neatly into a cultural expectation.
And what if that's not just okay, but essential for you to build a life that's truly yours? The source contrasts society's value on speed with the pace of building a life based on truth. It often requires time, patience, and sometimes needing to honestly fall apart before you can rebuild stronger.
The anxiety generated by this behind narrative is immense. The constant feeling that you're running out of time, that there's a deadline for dreams you might not even know you have yet.
It's like feeling perpetually late for a train you didn't even necessarily want to catch in the first place.
Right. And this pressure, the source warns, pushes people into choices they don't truly want, careers chosen out of fear, relationships entered out of pressure, leading precisely to those hollow, disconnected lives we touched on earlier.
The material offers crucial questions to counter this feeling. When you feel behind, ask yourself, behind whom? According to what specific timeline? Based on whose definition of success are you measuring yourself?
Your unique journey is not a universal race or a competition against anyone else. It is your path, unfolding at your pace. The source posits that stepping off the societal timeline, even if it feels terrifying, might be the bravest and most necessary thing you do.
It's choosing to finally question, to listen to your own inner guidance instead of the external noise.
And the liberating truth is, there is no too late when it comes to genuinely becoming who you are meant to be. Life isn't a sterile checklist to be completed. It's a dynamic canvas you're meant to paint.
Yeah, and your painting doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Your most profound growth often happens quietly, in periods of reflection, struggle, and internal recalibration, far away from public milestones.
A powerful line from the source material on this point that really sticks with you is, you are not behind. You are becoming. You are not late to your own life.
Picking up on that idea of internal pressure, the source spends time dismantling what it calls the myth of having it all figured out.
Oh, that's a big one.
It describes the common mental image we hold. Certain people seem to have found their singular calling, know exactly where they're headed, and move through life with smooth, confident steps.
But the material is quick to expose this as almost always an illusion. It points out that the vast majority of people are figuring things out as they go, even the ones who project absolute certainty.
Really, even them.
Yeah, they have doubts, fears, moments of profound confusion. They've just become adept at not showing it publicly.
And this creates an impossible false standard. It leads us to believe that a normal life is a straight, clean path with clear milestones, when the reality for most is messy, winding, and full of uncertainty.
The danger here is the intense shame it generates when you don't meet that impossible expectation. If you haven't found your singular purpose, if your career path is uncertain or nonlinear, you feel like you failed, like you're on the outside looking in at a world that rewards absolute clarity.
But clarity, the source reminds us, isn't a starting point. It's something that is earned over time through trial and error, through lived experience, and constant adjustment.
It's a product of wandering and stumbling, not a gift you receive up front. And critically, clarity isn't static. It changes as you change throughout your life. Life doesn't hand you a perfect pre-written map. No one truly has a perfect roadmap.
So the insight here is that not knowing your singular lifelong purpose doesn't make you broken. It simply makes you human.
Exactly. Life isn't primarily about having all the definitive answers. It's much more about learning to ask better, deeper questions. Questions like, what feels genuinely meaningful to me today? What gives me energy? What makes me feel alive?
The myth also implies that once you figure it out, life becomes easy, challenges disappear. But even people with profound passion and clear goals still face doubt, still get lost, still question everything sometimes.
Because life isn't a static equation you solve. It's a dynamic process you participate in, and you yourself are constantly evolving.
The source suggests a simple but powerful shift in conversation. Instead of the standard, "What do you do?" perhaps we could ask, "What are you curious about right now?" Or, "What are you trying to figure out these days?"
I like that. It fosters more genuine honesty and reduces that isolating feeling of being the only one without a perfect plan.
And importantly, you don't have to wait for absolute clarity before you start living fully. The material notes that action often brings clarity.
Right. You don't find the path laid out before you. The path is built step by step as you walk forward, even if those steps feel uncertain.
Reframing that feeling of being lost or uncertain. It's not falling behind some imaginary standard. It's simply being brave enough to not subscribe to a widespread illusion.
It's choosing to sit honestly with the unknown.
So much pressure can lift when you release the need to have it all figured out. You are allowed to be a work in progress. You are allowed to not know. You are allowed to change direction.
You don't need a perfect 5-year plan written in stone. You just need the courage to keep showing up and taking the next right step, even if it's small.
This connects so strongly to the idea explored in the material about when success still feels empty.
Ah, yes. The wrong ladder problem.
Exactly. It's that deeply confusing and often painful moment when you follow the script, you've done everything society told you was right, got the grades, the job, the house, the admiration, and you finally get there. But instead of fulfillment, there's a strange, hollow emptiness inside.
You're left asking, is this it? After all that striving, is this really what I wanted?
This is the part no one really warns you about, is it? Building a life that looks perfect from the outside, but feels fundamentally disconnected from who you are on the inside.
And the source is very clear. This feeling isn't selfish or ungrateful. It's not a sign that you're flawed. It's often the first undeniable signal that something deeper within you is waking up something more authentic, more honest.
It highlights the critical distinction between external success, measured by what you have or do, and internal fulfillment, found in meaning, connection, purpose that resonates with you.
And fulfillment, unlike success, cannot be bought, faked, or achieved by ticking boxes on someone else's list.
The trap many fall into is precisely this: chasing someone else's definition of a good life, maybe from family or culture, sacrificing time, energy, health for goals that aren't truly yours.
Reaching those achievements then doesn't bring joy, but profound confusion. And the source is compassionate on this point. It's not your fault. You were simply doing what you were told was right.
But now, feeling this emptiness, you're gifted the chance to ask the essential, deeper question: what does success mean to me personally?
The source offers alternative metrics that many find resonate more. Genuine peace, quality time with loved ones, engaging in work that matters to your heart, feeling a sense of inner freedom and integrity.
Redefining success on your own terms is framed not just as an option, but as a bold and necessary act of self-liberation.
It's the courageous decision to say, I am no longer willing to live by a script that doesn't genuinely fit who I am at my core, choosing authenticity over appearance, truth over comfort, meaning over performance.
And the material doesn't shy away from acknowledging how difficult this can be. Letting go, potentially disappointing people, starting again from honesty.
That's understandably terrifying.
But the immense power comes from realizing your life is truly yours to define and build. You don't need to keep chasing what everyone else is chasing. You can build a life that feels whole, real, and aligned, even if it looks different, perhaps smaller or slower.
And it's crucial to remember, as the source points out, that the skills, lessons, and strength you gained while pursuing that old definition aren't wasted. They're still with you.
You simply get to repurpose them, applying them differently now, aligned with your deeper values and true self.
Ultimately, the emptiness felt at the peak of external success isn't a sign of failure. It's a powerful awakening. It's your soul calling you to stop performing and start genuinely living.
The external world might not understand or applaud this shift, but your deepest heart will know it's right.
Transitioning inward even further, the source dives into the intense pressure many feel to always be happy.
The tyranny of positivity. Right. Our culture often idolizes a narrow definition of happiness, implying that other emotions like sadness, stress, anxiety, grief, or doubt are somehow wrong, signs that you're failing.
But the source fundamentally counters this myth. It argues that not feeling constantly happy doesn't make you a failure or ungrateful. These so-called negative emotions are not problems to be immediately fixed. They are vital signals carrying important information.
They are simply signs that you are alive, human, experiencing the full, complex range. Wisdom and growth are often found precisely within that range, not by avoiding it.
The danger of forcing happiness or suppressing uncomfortable emotions is profound. It means rejecting parts of yourself, disconnecting from your true internal state, hiding genuine pain.
And the material suggests that sometimes not being happy is the clearest message you can receive.
Yeah.
It's telling you something is off, you're depleted, you're pretending, or a significant part of your life is misaligned.
Suppressing those signals isn't just emotionally exhausting. It means you're missing crucial opportunities for healing and realignment that those very feelings point you towards.
This pressure to appear happy also fuels immense loneliness. Because everyone else seems fine on the surface, you assume you're the only one privately struggling.
But the source reminds us that behind countless filtered smiles, many people are carrying their own silent battles.
The path forward, the source advocates, is emotional honesty. Making space for the full, messy truth of how you feel without judgment.
Stop labeling discomfort as failure. Treat it as valuable information. It takes immense strength to simply say, I'm not okay right now, and acknowledging that doesn't mean you'll never be okay again. It means you're in a season of processing.
This honesty is the first step towards what the source describes as healing from the inside out. Healing isn't presented as linear or about fixing yourself.
Right. It's a deeper journey of making peace with your past and present pain, sitting with wounds to understand their messages about what you need and what needs to change.
Healing, the source stresses, starts when you stop running from your own inner world and begin to gently ask yourself, what do I genuinely need? What difficult truths have I been avoiding?
And a critical insight. Most deep healing cannot come from external sources. Validation, achievements, relationships they can support, but the real transformative shift begins within you.
The material outlines elements of this healing process. Permission to feel, radical honesty, self-compassion, letting go of perfectionism, and learning the value of rest and stillness.
Healing, then, is also about starting to create again, but this time from a place of inner truth. Making choices that feel aligned, connecting with people who truly see you, saying yes to your own needs.
It's not perfect or fast, but it's profoundly real. It's the slow, sacred work of coming home to yourself.
And after periods of disappointment or life not turning out as expected, learning to trust life again is one of the hardest challenges the source touches upon.
Yeah, when you felt lost or hurt, it's natural to expect the worst, to put up walls, to become guarded against hope.
The material acknowledges the reality that life is uncertain. You can't control everything. But it suggests learning to meet life with renewed openness isn't about being naive. It requires strength and courage.
And the path back to trust often begins with simply telling the truth about your past hurts and feeling lost.
The source notes that fear, while initially protective, can quickly stop serving you and start severely limiting you. Those walls keep out pain, but also possibility, joy, and connection.
So how do you rebuild that trust?
The steps outlined involve cultivating curiosity. What if things could be different? Practicing presence, life unfolds now in small moments, and gathering new experience through brave, small actions.
Like making a slightly different choice, being vulnerable with a safe person, trying again after a setback.
Exactly. And learning from these experiences that you are resilient, you survived, you can navigate discomfort.
This process of learning to trust life again is intrinsically linked to learning to trust yourself, isn't it?
Absolutely. Trusting you have the resources to figure things out, trusting your intuition, your ability to adapt. Peace comes not from knowing what will happen, but trusting you can meet whatever comes.
The material acknowledges past hurts, but also reminds us of times life has surprised us, carried us through, offered second chances.
Ultimately, it frames this not about living defined by fear, but choosing depth, meaning, and courage. Start small. Trust the sun will rise. Trust healing takes time. Trust your story is still unfolding. You are not abandoned. You are being led. Keep going.
Finally, let's tie some of these threads together by talking about purpose, meaning, and embracing uncertainty, which the later parts of the source material address. There's often huge pressure around finding a singular, definitive purpose.
The idea that it's this one shining truth that solves everything.
Right. But the source gently pushes back on this. It argues that not knowing your singular grand purpose doesn't make you broken. It's often a slow, quiet uncovering, not a lightning strike.
And often the societal idea of purpose gets confused with performance or external recognition.
The insight offered is that purpose can be incredibly simple and quiet. It doesn't need to be loud. It can be found in being present, caring deeply, making someone feel seen, creating, listening, healing.
And it acknowledges that purpose can change. What felt meaningful before may not fit now, and that's evolution, not failure. You're meant to grow.
So the core message here is to release the pressure of needing a grand plan. Instead, the source suggests starting right where you are. Pay attention to small signals. What brings peace? What sparks curiosity? Where does time disappear?
Purpose often lives in these quieter nudges, and a vital point. Your life has inherent worth before you ever define a specific purpose. You don't earn your worth by finding a mission. You matter because you exist.
Finding purpose, then, is framed less as discovery, more as something you gently create through small, consistent acts of showing up authentically.
Sometimes purpose is most powerfully revealed within the struggle. It's that commitment to keep going, even when lost, believing something meaningful could still emerge.
If a grand purpose feels overwhelming, the source reassures that you might simply be on a deeper journey. Not everything meaningful begins with certainty. Trust the process, listen gently, ask what feels true now, keep moving.
Your life is unfolding right now in every choice, every breath. That's where building purpose begins.
And that brings us to embracing uncertainty itself. When you're feeling lost, uncertainty often feels like the enemy, the barrier.
But the source presents uncertainty as one of life's most powerful teachers. It is, in essence, the gateway to transformation.
It requires a fundamental shift in perspective. Instead of fighting the unknown, leaning into it with curiosity, courage, the posture of a beginner.
Growth rarely happens in the comfort zone. It's in uncertain territory that old beliefs are challenged. Space is created for new understanding and resilience.
The source offers a powerful insight. Surrendering the need for control isn't weakness, it's freedom. Accepting unpredictability means working with life, not resisting it.
Living with uncertainty builds deep inner resilience. As you navigate not knowing and discover you can handle it, you build confidence in your ability to adapt.
Because the ultimate truth the Source lands on is that certainty, in many ways, is an illusion anyway. The only constant is change.
Embracing uncertainty isn't about giving up on clarity. It's opening to deeper, authentic growth. It makes you more flexible, creative, compassionate.
The path through feeling lost isn't about erasing doubt. It's learning to live with it, trusting movement, possibility, light. Uncertainty isn't failure. It's life, growth, becoming.
You are not lost. You are becoming.
And as we navigate this, don't overlook finding meaning in the small moments. When life feels overwhelming, the big picture unclear, grand dreams distant.
It's easy to discount the ordinary, but the material suggests true meaning is profoundly present in simple details: a smile, sunlight, kindness, rain.
This is framed as a practice of presence. Slowing down, noticing, savoring the small gifts. It shifts perspective from life as a chase to a rich mosaic.
It doesn't deny pain, but embraces fullness. Small moments become anchors, grounding you, reminding you you're here, alive, capable of finding beauty even when things are unclear. It's reclaiming joy.
Ultimately, the path out is often gentle steps, not giant leaps.
And finally, the Source reminds us about cultivating hope, especially when it feels impossible. When lost, hope feels fragile, yet it's that light keeping us moving.
Hope, as described, isn't ignoring reality. It's choosing to recognize small sparks of possibility, choosing to believe your story isn't finished.
It's an active choice, an act of quiet courage to imagine a different way forward.
The Source suggests cultivating hope through connection with supportive people and small daily practices, gratitude, journaling, mindful walks, noticing beauty, little acts that ground you and gently open your heart.
Hope ebbs and flows. It's okay if it feels out of reach sometimes. Strength lies in returning to it.
Knowing others have walked this path and found their way can be a source of hope itself. That shared human experience connects us.
Believe in renewal and the meaning of your life, that your story is still unfolding, maybe with the best chapters yet to come. Holding on to hope guides you home.
So, pulling together the threads from this deep dive into the source material, we've explored how feeling lost is a deeply human experience. Not a failure, but potentially a powerful turning point. The path through it involves embracing uncertainty, redefining success and purpose, learning to trust again, and finding meaning in small moments.
This state of being lost doesn't mean you are permanently broken or beyond hope. It signifies you're in a profound process of growth, transformation, and authentic becoming. Your unique path matters.
As you move forward from this, perhaps take a quiet moment to reflect on where you feel that sense of being lost most strongly right now, and what small, gentle step guided by these insights you might take towards a life that feels just a little bit truer to you. Remember, you are not alone.
What if the truest sign of finding your way isn't the moment you finally arrive at a destination you had predetermined, but the courage you find in simply keeping walking, trusting the unfolding of your own unique path wherever it leads?
Your journey matters.